Driverly.com, unlimited drama series.
Some men get midlife crises and buy sports cars. Others get Marta's steel-cold oatmeal and a shoulder so frozen it could preserve meat for winter. I'm Tom Halstead, 45 years old, finance manager at Millbrook Credit Union, and apparently the world's most oblivious husband. At least that's what I'm starting to suspect as I watch my wife of 23 years pack her designer suitcase with the enthusiasm of a woman planning her escape from Alcatraz. Girls retreat again? I ask, stirring my coffee and trying to sound casual. This is the third one in 2 months, which seems excessive even for Marta's newfound obsession with female bonding. She doesn't look up from folding her silk blouses with military precision. It's called self-care, Tom. Maybe you should try it sometime, instead of sitting in that chair, making sarcastic comments about everything. Ouch. 23 years of marriage, and she's perfected the art of making me feel like a piece of furniture that's outlived its usefulness. The kind you keep meaning to donate to charity, but never quite get around to hauling to the curb. Where's this one? Another spa in the mountains? I press, because something feels off. Marta used to tell me everything about her plans, down to what she'd order for lunch. Now I get less information than a mushroom gets sunlight. Mills Lake, she snaps, then immediately looks like she wishes she could stuff the words back in her mouth. It's a wellness center, very exclusive. You wouldn't understand. Mills Lake. I know that area. It's where the real money lives, in houses that cost more than I'll make in a lifetime. Not exactly the rustic cabin retreat she usually favors for these girls' weekends, with her sister Victoria and their friend Chloe. Sounds expensive, I venture. Victoria's treating us. Her divorce settlement finally came through. Marta zips the suitcase with finality. Don't expect to reach me until I'm back. We're doing a digital detox. Digital detox. Right. The same woman who sleeps with her phone charging 6 inches from her pillow is suddenly going off-grid. The same woman who checks Instagram while brushing her teeth is embracing technological abstinence. I watch her load the suitcase into her white BMW, another recent acquisition that she claimed was practically free through some deal at the ad agency where she works as an account executive. Everything's been practically free lately, from the designer handbags to the expensive highlights that turned her brown hair into something that costs more per ounce than gold. Have fun, I call as she backs out of our driveway. She doesn't wave back. Our house feels different when she's gone. Not peaceful, just empty, like a theater after the last show. I pour myself another cup of coffee and try to shake the feeling that something's seriously wrong with my marriage. When did we stop talking? When did she start looking at me like I was an inconvenience, rather than the man she promised to love until death do us part? My phone buzzes. Danny, my neighbor, and the closest thing I have to a best friend, texting from his garage where he rebuilds classic cars for fun. Beer? Marta's gone again, and you look like a kicked dog. I can see him through my kitchen window, grease-stained and grinning, holding up 2 bottles of Budweiser, like a peace offering. Danny's the kind of guy who fixes things with his hands and says what he means. In our neighborhood of corporate climbers and social media influencers, he's refreshingly real. On my way, I text back. Danny's garage smells like motor oil and honest work. He hands me a beer and goes back to tinkering with a 1967 Mustang that he's been restoring for 3 years. So, where's the missus off to this time? He asks, not looking up from the engine. Girls retreat. Mills Lake. Danny whistles low. Mills Lake? That's serious money territory. Victoria must be feeling generous with that divorce cash. That's what Marta said. I take a long pull of beer and try to ignore the knot in my stomach. Danny, can I ask you something without you thinking I've lost my mind? Shoot. Do you think Marta's acting strange lately? Now he does look up, wiping his hands on a rag that's seen better decades. Tom, buddy, I've been waiting for you to notice for months. The beer suddenly tastes like sawdust. Notice what? The late nights, the new clothes, the way she barely looks at you anymore. Hell, last week I saw her in the driveway talking on her phone, and when she saw me coming, she hung up so fast, I thought the thing was on fire. I set down my beer, feeling like the ground just shifted under my feet. I think you need to pay attention, Danny says gently. I'm not saying she's cheating, but something's up. And if it was my wife acting like that, I'd want to know what. I spend the rest of the evening in Danny's garage, nursing beers and pretending to care about carburetor adjustments, while my mind races through the past few months. The locked phone, the sudden interest in working out, the way she started wearing perfume to grocery store runs, the credit card statements I'm not supposed to see, with charges at restaurants I've never been to. When I finally go home, the house feels like a mausoleum. I sit in my recliner, the one Marta's been nagging me to replace, and try to remember the last time we laughed together. Really laughed. Not the polite chuckles we exchange when one of us shows the other a mildly amusing meme. I can't remember. My phone sits on the side table, innocent as a sleeping cat. I know Marta's passcode. It's been our anniversary date for years. Surely she hasn't changed it. Surely I'm being paranoid, letting Danny's suspicions poison my thoughts. But at midnight, alone in my dark living room, I pick up my phone and open the Find My app. Marta's phone shows up as a blue dot on the map, and my heart stops. She's not at Mills Lake Wellness Center. She's at a private residence on the North Shore, a massive estate that, according to the satellite view, has its own dock and what looks like a tennis court. Maybe it's a rental. Maybe Victoria booked them a house instead of a hotel. Maybe there's a perfectly innocent explanation for why my wife lied to me about where she'd be spending the weekend. Or maybe I'm the world's biggest fool, and it's time to find out just how deep this rabbit hole goes. I screenshot the location and stare at it until my eyes burn. Tomorrow, I'm going to Mills Lake. Not to confront anyone or make a scene, just to see for myself what my wife's idea of a girl's retreat really looks like. Because if Danny's right, if something is going on, I need to know. 23 years of marriage deserves at least that much honesty, even if the truth destroys everything I thought I knew about my life. The drive to Mills Lake takes 2 hours, which gives me plenty of time to question my sanity and practice explanations for why I'm essentially stalking my own wife. Officer, you see, my marriage might be a lie, probably won't hold much water if I get caught trespassing on some millionaire's property. The GPS leads me through increasingly expensive neighborhoods, until I'm driving past gates that cost more than my annual salary. The address from Marta's phone corresponds to a sprawling estate set back from the road by about a quarter mile of manicured lawn and strategically placed oak trees. I park my Honda Civic behind a cluster of evergreens and feel like the world's most pathetic private investigator. The estate is surrounded by a low stone wall that's more decorative than functional. Clearly, whoever lives here isn't too worried about intruders. Then again, most people don't have to deal with suspicious husbands conducting amateur surveillance operations. The late afternoon sun slants through the trees as I make my way along the wall, looking for a good vantage point. My heart hammers against my ribs, like it's trying to escape my chest. Part of me hopes I'll see Marta and Victoria and Chloe sitting around a pool with cucumber water and face masks, proving that I'm just a paranoid middle-aged man who watches too many crime shows. But the larger part of me, the part that's been growing stronger for months, knows better. I find a tall maple tree near the back of the property that offers a clear view of the main house. Climbing trees at 45 isn't as easy as it was at 15. But desperation is a powerful motivator. I wedge myself between two thick branches and peer through the leaves at the house below. The back patio is lit by strings of elegant lights. And I can see figures moving around what appears to be an outdoor bar setup. I pull out my phone and zoom in with the camera, my hands shaking slightly as the image comes into focus. There's Marta, wearing a white sundress I've never seen before, her hair styled in loose waves that catch the light. She's laughing at something someone just said, holding a champagne flute that sparkles in the evening glow. And there's Victoria, her sister, looking perfectly at home in designer jeans and a silk blouse that probably costs more than my mortgage payment. Victoria's always been the glamorous one, the one who married money and lived the life Marta used to claim she didn't want. Chloe's there too, Marta's friend from college who never met a piece of gossip she didn't love. The three of them look exactly like what Marta claimed they'd be. Three women enjoying a luxurious getaway. Except for the men. There are two guys I don't recognize, both younger than me, both clearly comfortable in this expensive setting. One is tall and lean, with the kind of tan that comes from actual leisure time, not weekend yard work. The other is broader, with silver hair and the confident posture of someone who's used to being the most important person in any room. I watch them interact, looking for signs of innocent friendship. Maybe these are Victoria's new friends from her divorce lawyer's office. Maybe they're gay and fabulous and completely harmless. But then I see Marta lean into the tall one, her hand resting on his chest as she whispers something in his ear. He responds by sliding his arm around her waist, his fingers splaying across her hip in a gesture that's anything but friendly. My stomach drops into my shoes. I fumble with my phone, trying to capture what I'm seeing while maintaining my balance in the tree. The camera clicks softly as I document my wife's betrayal in high definition. Marta tilting her face up to receive a kiss from a stranger. Victoria raising her champagne glass in what appears to be a toast. Chloe taking pictures with her own phone, clearly documenting what she thinks is a private celebration. The tall man's face comes into clearer focus as he turns toward the house, and I nearly fall out of the tree in shock. It's Jared Cole, the creative director from Marta's ad agency. I've met him at exactly 3 office parties over the years, and each time I thought he was the kind of guy who probably refers to wine as notes of oak and pretension. Jared Cole, with his silver Audi and his gym membership and his habit of using words like synergy in casual conversation. Jared Cole, who I remember Marta mentioning, works late on a lot of the same projects she does. Jared Cole, who's currently running his hands through my wife's hair like he owns her. I take picture after picture, my anger building with each captured moment of intimacy. 23 years of marriage, 2 kids in college, a mortgage we've been paying down together for 2 decades. And this is what it comes to. My wife playing house with some corporate pretty boy, while her sister and best friend cheer them on like it's the greatest romance of the century. The betrayal cuts deeper than I expected. It's not just Marta. It's Victoria, who I've considered family, who I've helped move apartments and loaned money to when her first marriage fell apart. It's Chloe, who I've driven home from parties when she was too drunk to call an Uber, who sends me funny memes about married life and signs her Christmas cards, "Love you guys." They're all in on it. They're all complicit in making me look like a fool. I'm so focused on taking pictures that I don't notice the branch I'm leaning on, starting to bend under my weight. It gives way with a sharp crack that echoes across the quiet evening like a gunshot. I grab for another branch but miss, tumbling toward the ground in a cascade of leaves and poorly suppressed panic. I hit the earth with a thud that knocks the wind out of my lungs and sends my phone flying into a nearby bush. "What was that?" I hear someone call from the patio. I scramble to my feet, ignoring the sharp pain in my ribs and the scrapes on my palms. My phone is somewhere in the darkness, and I can hear footsteps approaching from the house. "Probably just a raccoon," another voice says. Jared's voice, smooth and unconcerned. "Should we check?" That's Marta, and the casual tone in her voice as she discusses potential intruders while cheating on her husband makes my blood boil. I abandon the search for my phone and run, crashing through the underbrush like a wounded deer. Branches tear at my clothes and scratch my face, but I don't stop until I reach my car. I throw myself into the driver's seat and sit there shaking, my heart pounding so hard I can hear it in my ears. The drive home passes in a blur of rage and disbelief. By the time I pull into my driveway, I've made a decision that surprises me with its clarity. They want to play games? Fine. I'll show them how games are really played. But first, I need to go back and get my phone. Those pictures are evidence, and I'm going to need every piece of ammunition I can get for what comes next. I wait until 2 in the morning, Then drive back to Mills Lake with Danny's heavy-duty flashlight and a grim determination that feels foreign, but not unwelcome. The estate is dark now. The party clearly moved inside or ended altogether. It takes me 20 minutes of searching, but I find my phone wedged under a rhododendron bush, its screen cracked but still functional. The pictures are all there, clear as day and damning as hell. Marta kissing Jared, Victoria toasting their affair, Chloe documenting the whole thing like she's the official photographer for infidelity. I scroll through them in the darkness, and with each image, my anger crystallizes into something harder and more focused. They think I'm just boring old Tom, the finance.
She just gave me a massage! That's it!
Remember, I won't be a fool!
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
Manager who pays the bills and mows the lawn and never causes any trouble. They're about to learn how wrong they are. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I sit at my kitchen table with a pot of coffee and my cracked phone, studying the pictures like a general planning a campaign. By dawn, I have a strategy that would make Sun Tzu proud. The first rule of warfare is to know your enemy. Marta thinks I'm weak, predictable, someone who will roll over and accept whatever scraps of affection she's willing to throw my way. Victoria sees me as the boring brother-in-law who's never been worth her attention. Chloe probably doesn't think about me at all, except as an obstacle to her friend's happiness. They're all about to discover that underestimating Tom Halstead is a serious mistake. I start with reconnaissance. Jared Cole's social media profiles are a goldmine of narcissistic oversharing. His Instagram is full of gym selfies, pictures of expensive meals, and shots of his silver Audi parked in front of trendy restaurants. His LinkedIn profile lists him as creative visionary and brand storyteller at Pinnacle Marketing Solutions, the same agency where Marta works. More importantly, his Facebook profile is wide open to the public, complete with photos of his wife Karen and their 2 teenage daughters. Karen Cole looks like a nice woman, the kind who volunteers at school fundraisers and brings casseroles to neighbors when they're sick. She definitely doesn't deserve to be married to a man who's playing house with other people's wives at Lakeside Estates. I create a fake Gmail account and set up anonymous social media profiles. Then I upload the clearest photos from last night and schedule them to post across multiple platforms. But not yet. Timing is everything in warfare, and I want maximum impact. Marta returns home Sunday evening with a glow that has nothing to do with spa treatments and everything to do with adultery. She breezes through the door, carrying her designer suitcase and a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "How was your digital detox?" I asked from my recliner, not looking up from the newspaper I'm pretending to read. "Refreshing," she says, the lie rolling off her tongue like she's had practice. "We did yoga at sunrise and meditation by the lake. Very centering." "Sounds wonderful. Did you take any pictures?" She freezes for just a moment. So briefly I might have imagined it if I wasn't watching for exactly that reaction. "I told you, it was a digital detox. No phones allowed." I nod and turn a page of the newspaper. Of course, silly me. She disappears upstairs to unpack, and I listen to her moving around our bedroom, probably hiding evidence of her weekend activities. When she comes back down, she's changed into comfortable clothes and has her phone in her hand. "I'm going to call Victoria and thank her for the weekend," she announces. "Give her my best," I say pleasantly. I wait until she's deep in conversation with her sister, their voices carrying from the kitchen as they rehash their amazing weekend. Then I go upstairs to our bedroom and do something I never thought I'd do in 23 years of marriage. I search through her things. Her suitcase is still open on the bed, and it doesn't take long to find what I'm looking for. There's a receipt from Romano's, an upscale Italian restaurant in the Mills Lake area, dated Saturday night. Dinner for 6, with a total that's more than I spend on groceries in a month. The credit card number is partially visible, and it's not one of ours. There's also a business card for the estate where I saw them. Apparently it's a vacation rental that caters to discerning clients seeking privacy and luxury. The back of the card has a handwritten note. "Thanks for an amazing weekend. JJ for Jared, presumably." How romantic. I photograph everything with my phone, then put it all back exactly where I found it. Marta's still on the phone with Victoria when I come back downstairs. Their conversation a masterpiece of coded language about their relaxing weekend and how refreshed they all feel. Monday morning, I drive to work with a sense of purpose I haven't felt in years. Millbrook Credit Union isn't exactly the most exciting place to spend your days, but it has given me some useful skills over the years. I know how to research people, how to track financial information, and how to be very, very patient when building a case. My boss, Dave Millant, stops by my desk around 10 with a stack of loan applications and his usual friendly smile. Dave's a good guy, the kind of manager who remembers your kids' names and asks about your weekend plans. "You look different today, Tom," he observes. "More focused, I guess." "Just feeling motivated," I tell him, which is the truth, even if he doesn't understand the nature of my motivation. During my lunch break, I drive past Pinnacle Marketing Solutions. It's housed in a gleaming office building downtown, the kind of place where people wear expensive suits and discuss brand synergy over artisanal coffee. Jared's silver Audi is parked in the executive section of the garage, looking as pretentious as its owner. I take note of the security cameras, the entrance procedures, the general layout. Not because I'm planning anything illegal, but because information is power, and I intend to have as much power as possible when this war really begins. That evening, Marta announces she's working late on a big presentation for a new client. She's dressed in a black dress that I've never seen before, her makeup applied with the kind of care usually reserved for special occasions. "Don't wait up," she says, kissing my cheek, with lips that taste like lies. "This could go pretty late." I watch her drive away, then call Danny. "Want to grab a beer?" I ask. "I think it's time I told you what I found out about Marta's girls' retreat." Danny's garage feels like a confessional as I lay out everything, the tracking, the surveillance, the pictures, the evidence I've been gathering. He listens without interruption, occasionally shaking his head or muttering curses under his breath. "Jesus, Tom," he says when I finish. "I'm sorry, man. I really hoped I was wrong." "You weren't wrong. The question now is what I do about it." Danny takes a long pull of his beer and studies me with the kind of careful attention he usually reserves for engine problems. "What do you want to do about it?" "I want them to pay," I say, and I'm surprised by the venom in my own voice. All of them. Marta, Victoria, Chloe, and especially Jared. They think they're so clever, so sophisticated. They think I'm just some boring, middle-aged guy who'll never figure it out. And they're about to learn that boring middle-aged guys can be very dangerous when you push them too far. Danny grins, and there's something almost predatory in his expression. "What do you need?" "Help," I say. "And maybe access to that truck of yours. I have a feeling I'm going to need to transport some things." We spend the next hour planning, and by the time I go home to my empty house, I have the framework for a revenge that will be talked about in our social circle for years to come. Marta doesn't come home until after midnight, slipping into bed with the stealth of someone who's had practice sneaking around. She smells like expensive cologne and guilt, and when she thinks I'm asleep, I hear her texting someone in the darkness. Let her text. Let her plan her next romantic rendezvous with Jared Cole. Let Victoria count her divorce money and Chloe giggle about their secret. Because tomorrow their secret goes public, and their perfect little fantasy world comes crashing down around their ears. The war is about to begin, and they have no idea what's coming for them. Tuesday morning arrives with the kind of crisp autumn air that makes everything feel possible, even revenge. I wake up before Marta, shower quietly, and dress in my best suit, the navy blue one I wore to Ross's college graduation. If you're going to declare war, you might as well look professional doing it. Marta's still sleeping when I leave for work, her phone charging on the nightstand like a loaded weapon. I resist the urge to check her messages. I already know everything I need to know, and today is about action, not information gathering. At exactly 9 a.m., I execute the first phase of my plan. The anonymous social media accounts I created go live simultaneously across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The photos from Mills Lake appear with carefully crafted captions. When girls' retreats include creative directors from Pinnacle Marketing, #Mills Lake Lies, #NotSoPrivate, #AffairAlert. I tag everyone I can think of. Marta's co-workers, Victoria's social circle, Chloe's book club friends, and most importantly, Karen Cole. Let's see how Jared explains away photographic evidence of his weekend activities to his wife of 15 years. The posts are scheduled to hit during peak social media hours, when maximum damage can be achieved. While I wait for the digital explosion to begin, I drive to Mills Lake for Phase 2. The vacation rental office is located in a quaint building that tries very hard to look rustic and exclusive. The woman behind the desk has the kind of practiced smile that comes with years of catering to wealthy clients who value discretion above all else. "I'm wondering if you could help me," I say, approaching the counter with my most innocent expression. "My brother-in-law rented one of your properties last weekend, and he left his watch behind." "Jared Cole?" He's devastated about it. It was a gift from his wife. The woman's smile falters slightly. "I'm sorry, sir, but we have strict privacy policies. I can't confirm or deny any guest information." I nod understandingly and pull out my phone. "Of course, I completely understand. But maybe you could just look at this photo and tell me if this looks like your property. Then I'll know if I'm in the right place." I show her one of the pictures from Saturday night, carefully cropped to show just the patio and the house, nothing compromising. Her face goes pale as she recognizes the distinctive stonework and outdoor lighting. That's the Lakeview estate," she admits. "But sir, I really can't." "Oh, perfect," I interrupt cheerfully. "So I am in the right place. The thing is, Jared's wife Karen is absolutely frantic about this watch. It belonged to her father, you see, and she'll be heartbroken if it's lost forever. I'm sure you understand how important family heirlooms can be." I lean forward conspiratorially. "Between you and me, I think Jared might have left it in one of the bedrooms. He was sharing the rental with some friends, and you know how these weekend getaways can get a little wild." The woman looks deeply uncomfortable now, caught between her professional discretion and the growing realization that something inappropriate might have happened at one of her properties. I'll have housekeeping check for any lost items," she says finally. "If they find a watch, we'll contact Mr. Cole directly." "That's wonderful," I say, handing her my business card. "And if you need to verify anything about the weekend, I'm sure Karen would be happy to speak with you. She's very concerned about getting her father's watch back." I leave the rental office knowing that within hours, someone will be calling Jared to ask about a watch he never lost, creating exactly the kind of awkward questions that cheating husbands hate to answer. By the time I get back to town, my phone is buzzing with notifications. The social media posts have been shared, commented on, and screenshot more times than I can count. My anonymous accounts are flooded with messages from people who recognize the faces in the photos. The best response comes from someone with the username at KarenC47, who I'm pretty sure is Jared's wife. "Thank you for posting this. I've been wondering why my husband has been working so many weekends lately." Phase 3 requires a trip to Danny's garage and his pickup truck. Danny's waiting for me with a grin and a cooler full of ice. "You sure about this?" he asks, as we load supplies into the truck bed. "Absolutely," I say. "Jared wants to play games with other people's marriages? Let's see how he handles a little game of his own." Pinnacle Marketing Solutions has a parking garage with surprisingly lax security for a building full of expensive cars. Jared's silver Audi sits in its designated spot, like a monument to midlife crisis masculinity. We work quickly and efficiently. The ice goes under his car, creating a puddle that will look suspicious to anyone passing by. The business cards I had printed, "Discretion Investigation Services. We find what you're hiding," go under his windshield wipers and scattered around the nearby cars. The piece de resistance is a magnetic sign that Danny designed and printed at his friend's shop. "Ask me about my weekend at Mills Lake," in bright red letters across the driver's side door. "Think he'll notice?" Danny asks, stepping back to admire our handiwork. "Hard to miss," I reply. "And even if he takes it off immediately, everyone in the garage will see it first." We're walking back to Danny's truck when my phone rings. It's a number I don't recognize, but I answer anyway. "Is this Tom Halstead?" The voice is female, upset, and vaguely familiar. "Yes, who's this?" "This is Karen Cole, Jared's wife. I think we need to talk." My heart rate spikes, but I keep my voice calm. "Of course, Mrs. Cole. What can I do for you?" I saw the photos, the ones posted online. That's my husband with your wife, isn't it? There's no point in pretending anymore. Yes, it is. She's quiet for a moment, and I can hear her breathing heavily on the other end of the line. How long have you known? I found out this weekend. I followed her to Mills Lake and saw them together. I've suspected for months, she says, her voice breaking slightly. The late nights, the secret phone calls, the way he's been treating me like I'm invisible. But seeing the pictures, God, how could they do this to us? I don't know, I say honestly. But I'm not planning to just sit back and take it. Good, she says, and there's steel in her voice now. Because neither am I. What do you say we work together on this? I think between the two of us, we can make them very sorry they decided to blow up our lives. I look at Danny, who's been listening to my side of the conversation with growing amusement. He gives me a thumbs up. Mrs. Cole, I say, I think that's an excellent idea by